Happy New Year, everyone. Hopefully this year is off to a good start for you. And hopefully you've been able to hit the ground running on whatever that is that you were looking to do. For me, I wanted to make a video about this because I felt like this was kind of like the perfect case scenario of what I aim to do in this channel, and that's to educate people on how to obtain and manage their self-manage their real estate portfolio. So for those of you who don't know, I've been in the industry now on the residential side for 10 years, and then I've been on the commercial side, which is what I do now. But I had my tenant call me and say they had no heat. Now, in the middle of winter, right? It's freezing temperatures, and this is in Portland, Oregon. And anyone who's been in the Pacific Northwest knows that it gets pretty chilly during this time of year. It gets dark at like 4 o'clock, so the sun goes down pretty early during the winter months. And it gets dark. And so, when you don't have heat, middle of winter, and those temperatures, I think they've been getting down to the 40s, 30s. And, it's not uncommon these days to get snow in Oregon this time of year. So it's hit or miss, but generally last 4 years or so, we've been getting snow every single day. Let me take a minute. Please like and subscribe and comment. And please share this video with a friend. I would love, thank you for all of those who have subscribed. I appreciate the support as always. So you own a property, and mind you, I'm 3,000 miles away on the opposite coast. What do you do? And this is why I constantly tell you guys this is so important to have systems in place and to have a good team in place. So let me go through what you do in the industry, and then let me talk about my response was. So typically in the industry, when they call them work orders, right? That's when a tenant has a an issue in their unit, and they go on through an online portal typically, or text you or something like that. Whatever you set up, whatever you manage your property, in the industry it's called a work order. And when they put in the work order or service request, you have 24 hours to respond. Doesn't mean you have to fix it in 24 hours, but you at least have to respond within 24 hours. And that's as simple as a phone call, as you text back, whatever, email, whatever means of communication that you guys frequent. I prefer phone calls. Initial text is fine, but I do prefer a phone call to touch base. And you want to make sure you document everything that you're doing. That's the other great thing about Texas as well, because you can document and it's there. So luckily for me, I had a friend nearby who is, pretty handy, was able to go take a look. And this happened, mind you, New Year's Eve. So trying to get a vendor to come out, good luck. So my friend was able to come out on New Year's Eve, put eyes on it, gave me a recommendation what he thought it was. Although he is handy, he's not an HVAC expert, but he happened to be correct in what his findings were. So it turned out to be a high pressure switch and a flame sensor. The parts weren't that expensive. If you guys out there don't know, they were relatively inexpensive, but we'll get there in a second. So after he tells me that, he did something and the unit kicked on for a while. So we're like, great, we're in the good. Tenant said everything's fine. New Year's Day, the system goes down again. So it's intermittent. So once that went down again, they ended up going through the process again and put it into the work order, send me a text, say, hey, the system shut off again. So I was like, okay. So at this point, I'm making my calls to vendors, and I had already did that the day before on New Year's Eve. So New Year's Day, I called a vendor that I'm familiar with, and he said he would be able to get there first thing in the morning. And I was like, great. This is not New Year's Day, but the day, so the January 2nd, he was able to get there. So January 2nd rolls around, and this again, opposite coast, right? So I'm managing long distance. He was able to get there and put eyes on it and said exactly, he confirmed that it was the pressure switch, and he was able to run to the parts store, get it all changed out. The system's running perfectly fine. But here's the sticker shock that I got, just because, you always hear things are getting expensive, and you hear about, repair costs going through the roof. That's why a lot of people are holding off on it. But this let me know that owning a home or an investment property and or both is becoming something that is out of touch for the common person. And I don't say common in like a negative connotation at all. I'm just saying the reality is it's so much more expensive. The invoice came out to be $550. And I was like, whoa, this seems high to me, sticker shock. But, I did call a couple of friends that I know here in Atlanta, run that past them. And because, mind you, I haven't had any issues for a few years. So I'm out of touch with pricing on a residential level. But after confirming, and it wasn't a shot at the vendor. The vendor did, I trust them. It was just sticker shock to me. So I always like to, you trust but verify, make sure you're not getting taken advantage of, which every good investor should do that. And have people in your circle that you can call and say, hey, can I just shoot this over to you? Luckily for me, I know plenty because of the industry I'm in. So I kind of got it out to a few friends of mine who happen to be engineers, chief engineers of different assets. So they were able to confirm, like, yeah, that's actually a pretty good deal. And I was like, whoa. And then one of my chief engineer friends told me that he had at his house his overhead door for his garage went down, and then once he called the overhead door come out, they looked at it, and he said for that cost him $675 just for the spring to be changed out. And I'm like, whoa, that is expensive, right? But these are things that you don't think about when you own property or you buy a house. Most people just factor in, hey, my house payment is X, and taxes is Y, whatever. But you really do have to factor in maintenance, because the beauty of owning real estate is all the materials are inflationary, right? You got lumber, you have HVAC systems, you have electrical, even your countertops, granite countertops, of course, all of those materials are inflationary. So that's why the value of real estate can be affected and go up, right? So I say all that to say, well, let me break the invoice down. The flame sensor was like $13, something like that. The high pressure switch was like $70, and the labor, so it's the labor that was like $110 an hour, which is pretty on par, honestly, for most HVAC companies. Even good friends of mine said they would charge like $100 an hour at the minimum. So it was a good deal. And not only that, but when you go through a vendor who's licensed and bonded, you have workmanship warranty, which just means that if something goes wrong with something, they'll come out at their expense to fix it. But I say all that to say, make sure you have reserves, make sure you have enough set aside after you, not factoring your down payment, closing costs, et cetera, any repairs you're doing. Have a little, keep some powder dry in case something comes up like this. Because as I'm experiencing, things are getting more expensive. Whatever you thought you had, you probably need to increase it, and continue to do that every single month. Hopefully you bought the right asset that produces enough cash flow that you even allocate so much of those expenses every month to repairs and maintenance, because it is a number. At some point, roofs are going to go bad. At some point, the plumbing's going to go bad. At some point, things are just going to happen. So that's why I'm a big proponent of, when I buy an asset, try to run through the systems as best you can and as much as you can afford to fix them. Because the more you fix today, in theory, the less you have to fix tomorrow. And to me, that just makes all the world of a difference, especially if you are investing out of state or you're far away. I didn't intend on doing that. It just kind of worked out that way. But I'm glad knowing that I went through all the systems and updated everything, so that I don't have major problems, knock on wood. Doesn't make me exempt. It just lowers my risk. And we're playing a game of risk here. And you have to, in business in general, number one rule is to mitigate risk. If you can mitigate risk, you can live with everything else. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Hopefully I was able to provide some type of value that you got from this. So please like, subscribe, comment, and share. I appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.